Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and 7 Bucks Productions.
Deep inside a pitch-black cavern on the island of the Cyclops, the air is thick with the stench of spilled blood and roasted human flesh. Huddled in the shadows are the surviving crew of the Achaean fleet from Ithaca, trapped behind a massive stone door that no mortal man can budge. At the center of the cave, towering over 15 feet tall, is the shepherd beast Polyphemus, a grotesque giant of raw muscle with a single bulging eye in the center of his forehead. He has already killed 2 sailors, devouring them whole. But hiding in the darkest recesses of this cave is the king of Ithaca. Odysseus is not a demigod of pure muscle like Achilles, nor is he a lumbering giant like Ajax. Yet, he has outlasted both of them. Those great heroes who fought beside him at Troy are already ghosts in the underworld, while Odysseus still breathes. He's a man whose deadliest weapon isn't his blade, but his mind. And now he has something important to fight for. More important than any treasure in the world, he has a kingdom to rule and a family he hasn't seen in 10 years. Odysseus steps forward into the firelight, holding out a wooden bowl sloshing with highly potent, unwatered Ismarian wine. He coaxes the monster to drink, watching as the giant downs bowl after bowl until his giant eye rolls back and the beast crashes to the stone floor in a drunken, snoring stupor. In the dim light of the dying embers of the fire, Odysseus and his men drag out a massive green wood olive stake they have spent the last hour carving into a razor-sharp point and heating in the coals. The tip is glowing red hot. With a silent nod, Odysseus and his crew carry the heavy timber over to the sleeping monster, positioning the burning point directly above the giant's single eye. This will be a one-shot opportunity. If they miss, or if they don't strike with enough force, they will all be torn limb from limb, and Odysseus' family will never see him again. The king of Ithaca takes a deep breath, grips the wood, and prepares to prove that the mind of a single clever man is sharper than any spear.
Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell the badass history of badasses, both historical and mythological. I am joined today by my co-host, Dr. Pat Larish. Pat, welcome back. We are continuing our discussion of the Homeric cycle. What do you call the Iliad and the Odyssey together?
Yeah, the Troy cycle, the Homeric cycle. There are also other texts out there that aren't written by Homer that are also part of the Trojan War and its aftermath. And some of them read like fan fiction. But we are focusing on the classic, the famous texts.
Yes, kind of like how there's a million different versions of like Batman, and some of them get real weird. Mm-hmm. They're canon, but we don't talk about them. Well, we are joined today by a very special guest who's going to help us tell this story. You may remember him from our Gilgamesh episode. He is the director of the Joseph Campbell Foundation and a good friend of the show. Please welcome back Jon Bucher. Jon, thank you so much for coming back and talking to us about another mythological badass.
It is my treat. Always good to be back with you, Ben. And this is going to be an even better episode because I get to be with Pat this time. So
yes.
Super excited about that.
She was very sad that she couldn't make the Gilgamesh episode. You and me had kind of mentioned In Honest Descent to the Underworld, and she had been like, don't talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. So we did do an In Honest Descent to the Underworld episode as a follow-up to Gilgamesh. And those will all be on Earth. So, Jon, last week we did Hector, and we kind of talked a lot about the Iliad. And this week, you know, when we mentioned we were doing some Odyssey stuff, you were like, you got to bring me on to talk about Odysseus.
Absolutely. That's funny that you were talking about Hector, because I think Odysseus is such a different character. And I'm sure Pat, can speak to this even better than I, but I feel like, that when most people think about Greek heroes, they're thinking about Achilles or Hector or someone like that, who's stronger and angrier than everyone else. And Odysseus is not that person. He's not the fastest. He's not the bravest. He's the guy who gets into these impossible situations. I guess like if Achilles is like the John Wick of Greek mythology, then Odysseus is sort of like the Danny Ocean, the George Clooney character in
Yes.
Ocean's 11, where he's a completely different skill set,
Definitely. It's in a lot of versions of the story, he's kind of like Breaking Bad. Just like, how much worse can this possibly get? How's he going to get out of this one?
He's always fixing problems, but then he creates 3 more new problems for everyone that he fixes, and they're all problems of his own making. He's the guy constantly making new problems for himself. But honestly, I think that's kind of why we love him. He's the most psychologically believable hero in all of Greek mythology, I feel like.
Pat came up with a fun game for our Iliad episode. It was, let's count how many times in this story disaster could have been averted.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, when you look at, like, I don't know if you've ever looked at like a map of the journey of Odysseus, but the guy could have easily went home in just a few days, and it takes all of this time. It's like, did he really even want to get home? Because he took the most circuitous, problematic route. But then I think about myself, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of me sometimes. I chose not to go the easiest way. It could be said of me, often wrong, but seldom in doubt. Because that's sort of the Odysseus approach, right?
You angered Poseidon and you turned off Google Maps. Okay, so it's something I wish I had prepared these questions better, but when we were sitting down and kind of talking before the show, you were like, oh yeah, I'm down in LA. And I was like, oh yeah, did you? Because we've been talking about the upcoming Odyssey movie, and it dawned on me that you might have actually worked on it. But I'm unprepared to ask you any questions about it.
It's okay. I do get asked, to come in and consult on films that have sort of a mythology or folklore or, certain piece of that type of storytelling. And I get to do that from time to time. And somebody from the production did reach out to me early on in the process. And I thought, here it is. I'm going to have this amazing opportunity to work on this incredible film. I will be the Odysseus of this,
It's going to be Christopher Nolan. We're going to get drinks.
Absolutely, yeah. And then I didn't hear from anybody after that initial reach out for months and months and months. And then I heard from somebody after they had shot the film and said, oh yeah, we're reaching back out. Maybe you can help us, determine what the mythology audience, would like to how they'd like to engage in this film. And I felt like Odysseus, the guy who's constantly missing his shot, because I had this grand fantasy of getting to be right next to Christopher Nolan as the movie is unspooling and, being like, actually, Chris, I think what Odysseus would do here is this and this. None of that.
Don't worry, I'll talk to Matt. I'll talk to Matt. I got
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
He'll understand when I explain it to him.
Exactly. But yeah, it turns out none of that happened whatsoever. So I will say, and I won't give any spoilers, I have been invited to see the film early, so I might or might not have already gotten to see the film. And I promise not to spoil anything on this podcast. But here, let's be honest too. You've only had a couple of thousand years to read the Odyssey, so if you don't know what's going to happen in the story, come on, you've had time.
Spoiler alert!
Right.
Literally, what is it called? Like the greatest story ever told or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, that's the Bible. I don't know. It's one of these. It's still 20,000 years old. You should have read it by now. If you haven't, I really can't help you. We're going to spoil the Odyssey for you today.
Oh, so good.
Hey, before we get too deep into this, we're going to pause for a minute and hear a word from our sponsor. Okay, let's pick up where we left off.
Okay, so let's start. I guess we'll get into the story here. It is, we've followed Hector. We've kind of highlighted Odysseus when Odysseus has appeared. But let's begin with his story. And we're going to start off, Pat, in Ithaca, New York, right?
Of course.
Down the street from Cornell.
Yes.
He is recruited by King Menelaus. We kind of discussed the beginning of the Iliad, where we kind of told it from Hector's point of view, John, where he's just like this cool guy getting ready to inherit the throne of this powerful city-state, and then all of a sudden his idiot brother shows up, and it's like, oh man. So Menelaus, king of Sparta, is organizing. He's building a team. He's putting together the mythological Avengers, and he's going to attack. And Pat, you had the story about Odysseus right off the bat. That is interesting.
Yeah, this doesn't really show up in the Odyssey itself. It shows up in another author, Hyginus, and it's just sort of in a summary format. But Odysseus tries to get out of going to the Trojan War.
He tries to dodge the draft right away, first thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, this is a little tricky because, he hears that Agamemnon and Menelaus themselves are coming. They've landed on Ithaca and they're heading up towards his house. There's also this other guy, Palamedes, with them. And okay, so maybe Penelope shows up at the door. Maybe she's holding little baby Telemachus in her arms. And Agamemnon and Menelaus and Palamedes say, "Hey, where's Odysseus? We're here to draft him for this war that totally." And Odysseus, meanwhile, and Penelope says, I think he's out back plowing the field. And so they head out back. And what's going on? Odysseus, the smartest man in Greece, is like, wait, he's got a donkey and an ox hooked up to his plow, so things are going very zigzaggy. He's like ranting and raving, and he's like, boom, boom, zigzagging, and like, whatever. What? This is not
like a crazy man mowing his lawn in his bathroom.
He's in crazy man mode. Yes. Okay. He is. He's not appearing fit for service. And then Palamedes says, So he grabs baby Telemachus from Penelope's arms and runs out to the field and puts baby Telemachus in the path, as best he can predict it, of Odysseus's plow.
That's a strategy. Put the kid in front of the car. See if the crazy person runs over.
Yeah. And of course, Odysseus is not actually insane. He, break, like, whoa, Nelly, breaks the... He avoids running over his child.
The cart is hitched to one donkey and one ox, which is
so it's totally lopsided. Yes. This is not. Yeah. It's like all over the place. So Palamedes calls his bluff, and there are actually some other myths about how Odysseus now has a grudge against Palamedes, and
understandable.
Yes, understandable.
You got me drafted into this war, and you almost killed my kid.
Yes,
irresponsible. Yes. And then, so John, this is the energy that Odysseus is going to bring to the Trojan War.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of it's funny because when we finally get to some of the stories that become the most famous, the story of the Trojan horse. You've had the Iliad, which is basically 10 years of, well, we've tried stabbing Troy. And Odysseus basically comes along and says, have we considered lying? Maybe that could be. It's the greatest military prank in history. But it only comes after, this 10 years of all of this military, effort of trying to destroy Troy. So I think I love Pat's story here about, going out to the field, because in some sense, we've got this refusal of the call to adventure, as Joseph Campbell would call it, where the hero just is absolutely, I'm not going to have anything to do with this. How could we win this without actually fighting? That's sort of this mentality. And it takes putting a baby in front of a plow to finally get our hero to accept this call to adventure and go out on this journey. So I really love Pat's story. I feel like that's such a great metaphor for what the underlying subtext of what's happening here is as well.
Right, and it kind of gives you some indication of like, how's this guy going to get out? Because he's part of the team that goes to recruit Achilles as well, and they have to do a totally different way to you recruit Achilles, and Achilles tries to get out of it in a totally different way than Odysseus tries to get out of it.
Yeah, yeah. He cross-dresses. He tries to hide amongst this, like, on this island among these princesses, and he's got all these flowing garments on, and Odysseus puts a sword near him, and Achilles just grabs it, and it's like the most natural thing in the world. Okay, yeah, we called your bluff, Achilles. But this is Odysseus, this is, he uses his wiles.
Yes, resourceful Odysseus. So he goes to Troy. He's the top advisor for Agamemnon and Menelaus. He's giving speeches. He's coming up with plans. He's coming up with ideas. Some of them are good. Some of them are bad. Most of them, for 10 years, they still can't breach the walls of Troy. And this is kind of where he's like, okay, this is dramatic times. We're gonna need drastic measures here. I really want to get home. I didn't even want to be here. It's been 10 years. My kid's a teenager. Last time I saw him, he was in front of my plow. So, okay, Hector is killed, and you can go back and listen to our Hector episode to kind of get the full Trojan War experience. And Odysseus is gonna have, John, you mentioned it. Odysseus has a plan, and when we did the Hector story, Pat was like, we're not talking about the Trojan horse in this episode because that is not in the Iliad. And so we're moving into the Odyssey story, and the Odyssey begins with a big wooden horse.
Well, and I don't know if we even can appreciate just how ridiculous this is. I mean, imagine, that you're a Trojan and you've been fighting these Greeks for 10 years, and one morning they're gone and they've left behind a horse. I mean, not food, not gold, a horse. And
story tall wooden horse.
Right. We hear this, citizen in the story that's like, this seems suspicious. And everybody else is like, no, free horse. This is great. I mean, it's basically the first guy in history who weaponized bad interior decorating in some ways, that convinced them to fall for this horse. I don't know. To me, it's like such a fascinating take that we're still laughing about it in some ways. It's like, we're still looking at this Trojan horse and making metaphors out of it because it seems so ridiculous. And
Monty Python and the Holy Grail didn't help.
Right.
Yes. It didn't help their god. Yes, giant wooden horse. And just full of dudes. I feel like this was probably low. I'm picturing like Odysseus' journal with like great ideas for winning the Trojan War. There were some, like last week we talked about, there's a duel. Why don't Menelaus and Paris just fight a duel, and the winner can, going through all manner of logical things, and then like page 4 of the journal, it's just like big horse, big wooden horse with guys. I don't know. And then, like, over the course of 10 years, that all the other ones get crossed out. Finally, they get down and they're like, look, Agamemnon's like, fine, whatever, we can do the horse.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, in defense of the good townspeople of Troy, there were gods and goddesses manipulating public opinion.
Oh, that's fair.
So the Laocoon, that one guy who said, this horse looks a little sus, Athena sent sea serpents out of the sea to eat him and his 2 sons. And Athena's, she's on the side of the Greeks. So the Trojans said, maybe this is a sign that what this guy was saying was angering the gods. So let's not do what he said.
And it was, but it was only because the gods wanted to kill us all.
Yeah.
And Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, but Greeks considered horses sacred to Poseidon. So it's possible that the people of Troy could have thought this represented an offering, that this is a sacred offering, that's being put there. So again, in defense of what they're seeing, maybe it's maybe it's an offering, that they've left out here to Poseidon.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the Trojans bring it in. It doesn't work out well for them.
No, it does not.
Everyone dies, and the ones who are not killed are dragged back to Greece in chains. Odysseus.
A handful do manage to escape, and that becomes Virgil's Aeneid, and they become the ancestors of the Roman people. But that's not in Homer. That's much, 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 much later.
But this first great victory in Western literature, it's not won by muscles. It's won by marketing, right? That they've, been able to create a story here, which is, I think that's really a unique thing in the storytelling that's done here. And we're still impressed by that, right? Is maybe, every battle is not just about who's the strongest, but who can be the most clever and surprise the other party. I think that's a moment, right? That's worth noting.
Yeah, because Achilles is the invincible great hero, and he tries to beat down the walls of Troy, and he ends up getting killed by Paris, who is the last guy you would expect to kill him. And so that is an interesting thing of just maybe not all of your problems can be solved by punching and kicking things. It's a kind of a turning point in human history when people started to realize that. Even mountains of severed heads is not the only way to solve my problems.
It is a way to solve problems. Maybe not the only way to solve problems.
Maybe not the best.
Maybe not the best.
But it is definitely a way.
Yeah, gets attention for sure.
So they attack Troy. Many people are killed. Hector's wife is kidnapped. Hector's son, Astyanax, is killed on Odysseus' orders, thrown from the walls of the city. And a lot of bad things happen during the sack of Troy. You've got these guys who have been besieging this place for 10 years. They hate the Trojans. Now they're going to burn the city. They do all this bad stuff. And they earn the wrath of the gods, including Poseidon, which is a bad person to be on the wrong side of because you have to sail back home from Troy to Greece. And that's when you run into Odysseus isn't the only guy that has trouble on the journey home from Troy. He's the guy we're going to focus on. But at some point, Poseidon is angered, and he's going to make life really hard for the Achaeans sailing back home to Greece.
No good Greek story is really complete until we've angered at least one of the gods. I feel like that is just, the Greek audience probably would have been very disappointed if we didn't have at least one of the gods getting really, really angry about something that was done. So, this is the payoff that the Greek audience was probably like, finally, one of the gods is upset. All right, now we've got a story.
Pat did in the last episode. Pat was talking about the judgment of Paris, and just imagine, Aphrodite, Athena, and Hera all come to you and which one's the prettiest? And you're like, oh God, this isn't going to end well for me.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah. Nobody likes to be put in these situations where a god or a goddess is going to have it out for me. Nobody's looking to take on that fight. Everybody is looking to avoid that at all costs. But yet they always seem to manage to bring on the wrath somehow.
Never fails. Okay, so Odysseus sets sail with his crew. He's excited to go back to his son and to Penelope, his wife, to Ithaca. He doesn't have one ship when he leaves. Odysseus is a general. When he shows up, when he arrives in Iliad 2 during the catalog of ships, he has 12 ships with him. The general math I've seen on this is that they're going to be Pentacoster ships, which is 50 oars. That's 12 ships and 600 men with him when he arrives. Let's assume a similar number on the way back, I think is probably a good way to do it. Now, they set sail, and there's some storms. People are blown off course, all kinds of bad stuff, waves, rain, all this, traditional out at sea, dangerous waters kinds of things. They end up first on the island of Caconia, and he's like, all right, I've got my guys. I'm setting sail back. I'm on this island. what's the next rational thing I can do once I've landed on this island that's inhabited with people? Attack everyone and plunder the city. Like, I thought you're like a Viking now. Where did this come from?
Yeah, were they just trying to basically go grocery shopping and stock up on supplies, except maybe more aggressively?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Troy had been under siege for so long that they didn't have any good food. But yeah, they attack this island, they plunder it, and then they're just like sitting on the beach counting up all the stuff that they stole, and they get attacked, and they lose like a bunch of guys. This seems avoidable. This seems like it could have been avoidable.
After being so clever with using, the wooden horse, maybe they were starting to feel like they were losing their muscle edge. Maybe they were feeling like, oh, we really need to we need to go in and just plunder. We need to show just how badass we are here, because they had maybe lost a little bit of credibility with some of these soldiers that felt like we're here to wage war and be badasses. Maybe they felt like they were getting a little insecure with just using their mind. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good defense here. It's not a good defense.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of space left in the cargo hold here for us to put more plunder. We've already looted Troy. A little bit left. These guys, what do they have? Coconuts? Whatever. Let's take it.
Let's take it.
Yeah.
Let's take it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, honestly, they're worn out. And maybe even though they won, maybe they're demoralized, or maybe they're just, not at their best, And I'm not trying to excuse killing people, but, what is this episode telling us for like the state of mind of these guys? And like John, as you said, maybe they were cruising for a bruising, or bruising for a cruising, cruising for a bruising. There we go. They wanted their good old fashioned, plundering back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so from there, they arrive at the island of the Lotus Eaters. And John, we just recently did William Bligh and the Mutiny on the Bounty. And so I think about that with this, where like, when Bligh lands on Tahiti, he's there to get trees, and trees aren't in season, so he's got to wait like 6 months. And while he's waiting, everybody that lives there just like they just all like go live on the island with the Tahitian people and eat Tahitian food, and then when it's time to leave, none of them want to leave.
Right.
And
because who would?
And we're kind of we get that from this island as well. They have these guys that eat these lotuses, and they don't do anything else. They're just done. Like whatever we just did our killing. Now we're just gonna chill.
I feel like this whenever I go to like a theme park, whether it's Universal Studios or Disneyland or something, there's all this magic to be had at this land. And I always stop at the first cafe or snack place, and there's air conditioning inside there and good food. And I'm like, maybe I'll just stay here. Maybe I'm just going to hang out here at the Main Street USA shop and eat caramel apples and enjoy my entire Magical Kingdom experience right here rather than go explore the land. So
the most expensive caramel apples you've eaten in your entire life.
Well, I'm going to prefer caramel apples to lotuses for sure. I think caramel apples probably got a better taste to them than lotuses, but that's just me. That's just my, culinary preference.
And lotus in the text may not necessarily be what we think of as just ordinary water lilies. It could stand in for some sort of drug.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
So they might be getting high.
Ooh.
Oh.
Maybe.
I like this theory.
It was poppies. It wasn't lotus. They misidentified the plant.
But the effect is, even if it is just ordinary lotuses or ordinary caramel apples or whatever, it's like, hey, we can relax here. Yeah. This is the good life.
Yeah. Well, if they do have magical properties, and there's some sort of hallucinogenic or if they're getting high, the story makes even more sense to me that they would just want to stay there, right? I mean, I get that.
I feel like when you said that, me and Joe were both like, oh, okay, now I get it. It's silent as Quaaludes. You mentioned that.
Right.
Eating flowers doesn't sound that good.
Right.
Flowers.
Flowers. Ah.
Now, with the mutiny on the Bounty, they put William Bligh, these guys don't want to leave Tahiti, they put William Bligh in a rowboat by himself, and he used this like super advanced like nautical trigonometry and all this crazy MacGyver stuff to sail himself 2,600 miles across the Pacific perfectly to land on this Dutch-controlled island, doing the map, doing everything in his head because he has no measurement gear except for like one little piece of equipment. And so he just perfectly is able to find his way home. Odysseus does not seem to possess that ability, or John Hewlett doesn't want to go home or something.
I wonder about that. Like, if he really wanted to go home, you know, maybe he would have made different decisions here.
Stopped and asked for directions.
Right.
The next island he lands at, he is... this is one of the more fun ones. This is one of the more interesting bits. He lands on an island and he's like, well... I don't even know. It's like, can't be worse than those lotuses. This can't be worse than my whole crew just getting high all day. But it's worse. Then Pat, this is where he meets Polyphemus. And
The Cyclops. Oh, sorry. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers for the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Right. I love that he walks into this cave and, you know, notices the bones, these huge bones. And this is like the modern horror movie to me, right? Because I see these huge bones and I'm like, well, this is a terrible Airbnb. I am out. But Odysseus is like, no, we should probably wait. We should just stay, right? And this is like in a horror movie when it's like, why don't the people just leave the house and get out of the house rather than staying? But Odysseus does the same thing. He's like, no, let's hang out. Let's stay. Yeah. Those huge bones would have been plenty for me to be like, all right, on to the next island. Let's go.
Yes. We live in a world where the gods are real and hate people and attack them, and there's monsters and stuff, right?
Right.
So, you know, let's just hang out. And it's interesting. Look at this collection of antique chainsaws.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, in addition to the big bones and antique chainsaws, or metaphorical antique chainsaws, there are also sheep and maybe some cheese made from sheep's milk.
Oof.
That's true.
So grocery shopping.
I'm a sucker for cheese. I get it. If there's cheese, then maybe I probably would have stayed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we would have been attacked by Polyphemus, who is a monstrous giant Cyclops that eats people. So they get captured by Polyphemus. They get locked in this cave. Every night he shows up and eats two guys. Now we got a horror movie. Now we got a real horror movie. But once again, we know we can't fight this guy. But once again, John, Odysseus has to use his mind to get out of this.
Yes. To keep from being tomorrow's entree, he comes up with a really, really interesting plan where he decides, you know what? Alcohol may hold the answers here for our problem. And like many people after Odysseus, leaning into the alcoholic solution actually does pay off for him.
And solution to all of life's problems.
You know, let's get this guy drunk, which works. But I think the real genius and clever part here is the naming little gag that he does of telling the Cyclops that his name is Nobody, and then binding him up so when he yells out that nobody is binding me, nobody is got me captured, all the other Cyclops are like, well, why are you yelling then if nobody has you all bound up, buddy? What's your deal? Genius, pure genius. Yeah. This was when I was around 10, 11 years old, hearing the story of the Odyssey for the first time. This humor here of getting the Cyclops to be convinced his name was Nobody. This was the height of humor for me, because it was sort of like the equivalent of getting my brother's hand and hitting him and being like, stop hitting yourself, or kind of that I know you are, but what am I humor. I was like, this is genius. This is the funniest story I've ever read. Who would think of that? Just
I love it.
Genius.
Odysseus channeling his inner Pee Wee Herman. Yes. So they make wine. They get Polyphemus drunk, and then they set a tree on fire and jam it in his eye. That solves the problem. Then they steal his sheep because they want those sheep, and they're not leaving without them.
Grocery shopping. What am I telling you? Grocery shopping.
Gotta have the sheep.
Well, I mean, that's the whole reason we stopped here. It's a defeat. This battle is a defeat if we don't have those sheep at the end of the day.
Not enough just to steal the sheep, by the way. Gonna bind themselves up under the sheep to escape. And
that's right.
This is another, you know, really interesting. The Greeks were fascinated by this part of the story. There's still actually at the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, there's still some ancient artifacts they have where people made sculptures of Odysseus being bound up under one of the sheep. And it's a little awkward. It sort of looks like Odysseus is actually being birthed out of the sheep, and it's not exactly a PG rated looking object, but it it was something that definitely caught the attention of the Greeks, you know, to bind yourself up under the sheep for the escape.
Right. The wolf in sheep's clothing, like dressed up as the sheep so their Cyclops don't eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Polyphemus is blind, but he can still, like, he's feeling the backs of his sheep as they go in and out of the cave and do their shepherding things. Last we heard, Polyphemus is shouting, "Nobody is doing this stuff to me. Nobody is doing this stuff to me." And Odysseus and his men, they escape from, hiding under the sheep, and they get to the boats. Do they sail away quietly?
Nope.
Nope.
That's right. I forgot about this.
It is the equivalent to winning the argument and then sending one more text. Yeah. Odysseus can't
Bingo.
help himself.
Yes.
They start cursing at him, right?
I'm Odysseus!
I'm awesome. And he's blind, but he's not deaf.
Right. It's so great. Great.
And so Polyphemus starts throwing rocks at them. And does he smash ships? Or that's coming up later. I don't think he smashes ships, but they do yell at him. They do curse at him and yell at Polyphemus as they're sailing away. And Polyphemus throws some rocks, but he is blind, even though he's kind of in the general vicinity. He doesn't sink any of Odysseus' ships.
But
that's coming.
Polyphemus does get the attention of his dad.
That's true. Yeah. And who's his dad?
Poseidon.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be learned there because in a sense, Odysseus, he could have got away with this thing, but his ego got the best of him. He had to let the Cyclops know, it was me who got you. And that single moment of weakness ends up costing him 10 more years. Because when Poseidon hears this, that's when the curse starts. So if he just would have let things be, he would have saved himself 10 years. But that moment of ego, it gets the best of him.
Took a sip of his own wine, sitting there thinking he's like, just angry last text.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of it.
And ego and fame.
Yeah,
he wants, the Greek word is kleos, which is such a driving thing. This is motivates Achilles. He can't put this on his LinkedIn profile unless he actually claims credit for it.
I mean, he killed a Cyclops. He defeated a Cyclops. That's pretty badass. You would definitely want to have that on. That would be high on your LinkedIn profile.
Right.
Okay, so this is where we get the beginning of a recurring theme. They go to the island of Aeolus, who is a favored mortal of the gods. Aeolus is a bag that controls the wind, which seems like it'd be useful if you were trying to get home in a hurry. He hands him the bag. He says, "Don't open it until I tell you to open it, or when you know how to open it." And Odysseus says, "Don't open it," and his men open it. And the wind blows them all the way back to Aeolus, and he takes the bag back. This is going to happen a lot in this story where somebody powerful or famous or heroic will be like, "Don't do this thing," and then they'll do the thing, and people die.
When they assume it's treasure, they assume it's money, and that Again, there's another lesson here of when people think here's what it reminds me of. Pat, Ben, have you ever been walking through a shopping center or something, and you see on the ground one of those fake dollar bills that on the back has like an advertisement for a business, or like it's a tract that's trying to get you to come to a church or something that says
I haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very popular. These it looks like it's a fake rolled up, dollar bill on the ground. And of course you're going to go, oh, free money. And you go over there. And this is exactly what the crew falls for, right? It's the same thing. It's like, oh, there's treasure. There's free money. Again, gets them in deep problems.
Keep your mind focused on the mission.
That's right.
That's the problem with the next island too. They land on the island of the Laestrygonians. There's a beautiful woman there. She says, I'm the princess of the Laestrygonians. Come to my palace. We have all of this food and treasure and things and beautiful women. Odysseus says, don't go. Odysseus' men follow her to their palace because she's pretty and there's treasure. And they find out what a Laestrygonian is, which is a giant man-eating monster.
That's the thing, though, to me, is the Odysseus and his crew, they're not only trapped by monsters, but they're trapped by comfort here. I mean,
that's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
it's true, right? Because it's sort of the mythological version of, I'll watch just one more episode of this show and then I'm going to turn it off, right? And you just keep going and going and going. And that's what Odysseus and the crew, do here. If they just would have put aside one moment of comfort, again, could save themselves so much trouble.
I guess that's a good point too, right? A warm bed and a shower after being in the Cyclops cave for months or however many days they were down there. I can see it.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work out for them. They get attacked by hill giants or ogres or something that skewer his men and eat them. They run back to their ships. They pile into their ships. The Laestrygonians are there. They're throwing rocks. They sink every ship except for Odysseus' ship. Huge number of his men are killed. Huge number of his ships are sunk, and now we're sailing solo.
I just can't get over that. I feel like in this case that success in some of these stories rarely dies because the dragons breathe fire. It dies because the couch is comfortable and keeps you from doing what you're supposed to do. But again, it's why I love this story, because I fall into that trap all the time. I can't always be the person with the sword that's slaying the dragons. Sometimes, the dragon that slays me is the comfortable couch.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I understand it. It makes sense, right? And just focus on the mission. Focus on what you're supposed to be doing. Focus on your duty. Don't be lazy. That's the moral of the story. If you're lazy, the ogre's going to skewer you and eat you.
We're going to stop right here for a second to hear an ad, so we'll be right back.
If data management is slowing down your business, you need the Intuit ERP. If one entity is here, and one here, and one here, and one here, you need the Intuit ERP. If scaling your business feels like starting over, you need the Intuit ERP. Intuit Enterprise Suite is the AI-native ERP solution that consolidates, migrates, and automates, all in one place. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Traditional banks are making it harder than ever to secure a small business loan. That's why thousands of business owners trust Cardiff for same-day funding. With over 2 decades of expertise, business owners keep voting Cardiff America's favorite small business lender. Apply now for up to $500,000 in same-day business funding at cardiff.co/Spotify. Again, that's cardiff.co/Spotify. Cardiff. Borrow better.
And we're back. let's pick up right where we left off.
Well, speaking of which, next we go to the island of Circe. And that's a whole other thing, right, Pat?
Oh, yeah. So she lives on an island. She's actually related to Medea. She's a goddess. So she's like this minor semi, half goddess. Anyway, so Odysseus's men show up and they're not behaving their best, whatever. She welcomes them in. She drugs their wine. They drink too much of this special wine and they turn into pigs, except our boy Odysseus. And why? It's not because he didn't drink the wine. It's because Hermes appeared to him at one point, pulled him aside, here's this special magic herb called moly. Take some of this and it'll protect you. So Odysseus is the one guy who is unaffected. He retains his human form. Circe either actually falls in love with him or just kind of decides to use her feminine wiles on him. And so, and she says, okay, well, you want your men turned back from pigs back into humans. Well, if you give me a night of pleasure, I might do that for you. And Odysseus is like, well, okay, I'm doing this for the good of my crew, right?
I forgot to mention that Circe's house is full of lions and wolves and things, right? And these guys get turned into pigs. It's like, eat or whatever.
Yeah.
Pat had a really interesting theory when we were talking about this, and I was kind of thinking to save it for later, but I think this is the time to say it. So, John, we were talking about this episode together, and Pat was like, there is a theory that, like, Odysseus is the only survivor from this mission. So he's the only source that we have for any of this information. He might have been making some of it up. And then I was like, oh, yeah, well, I had to sleep with her, honey, because all my men were going to get eaten by lions and wolves. I had no choice.
This theory holds a lot of water. Yeah. I really like this theory. I think you're onto something with that theory, Pat. That holds a lot of water. Odysseus would not be the first person to come back and say, well, I had to do it. I had no choice. Reframe the story there to his own benefit.
Yeah. Sorry, ma'am. Your husband was eaten by a Cyclops. Right. Are you sure? And that was around here. Yeah, it was an island off the coast, not too far from here. Actually, they got Cyclops out there to eat people. He shouldn't open that bag. I mean, it's his fault, honestly. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and I should say it's not my theory. It's a way of reading the Odyssey. Odysseus is like maybe the world's most famous unreliable narrator. So.
That's so funny because I'd never come across that before. That was an amazing way of looking at this.
Yeah, he's telling these stories, the ones that we've been telling, this island, that island, the other island. He's telling them at a banquet with some people, the Phaeacians, on an island, and. He wants to look good in front of his hosts. He wants to provide an entertaining tale in return for the nice dinner they're giving him. You tell me. Yeah.
I feel like there's a strong case to be made for this theory. I really do.
And we can be skeptical about the narration and also totally lean into the stories.
We're definitely doing that.
Yeah. That's the badass way.
Okay. So a lot of times, instead of, he kind of gets some strategy here from Circe. She's like, hey, some people like pour one out for your dead homies. You got to go pour one out with your dead homies. You got to go down to hell and like talk to some people and figure some stuff out here because you're cursed by Poseidon and you're going to need some supernatural help to get out of this. So she gives him some of her magic sheep. He sails to the end of the earth. Goes up the Archon River into hell, sacrifices a couple of her sheep, and he gets to meet some of his dead friends from the war. Now, there's a lot of interesting moments here. There's a lot of interesting things to unpack with the journey to Hades. But really what he comes away with is all of the dead heroes from the Trojan War have one consistent message, and it is, do not eat the cattle of Helios. Try to remember, don't eat the cattle of Helios.
Okay.
Really important.
Yeah, take a Sharpie, write it on the back of your hand. Yeah. Put a reminder on your phone. Do not eat the cattle of Helios. Do not eat the cattle of the literal sun god.
Yeah, just write it down. Write it down. Don't forget it. Pin it.
I feel like, I've been in that situation so many times, and then I walk away from it and I'm like, do not eat the rattle of Shmini Nosh. What was it again? Do not eat the rabbit of Helimo. What is it again? Like, I don't know. I have a lot of sympathy for people who hear these things and then they walk away, and they can't remember exactly what they were told, even though it's stressed to them 300 times. I will say there's another moment that strikes me even more than they should have remembered the cattle for sure. But that moment that Achilles tells Odysseus that he would rather be alive as a servant than the king of the dead. That moment always kind of punches me in the gut because you've got all of these warriors and, Achilles basically saying life itself is the prize. All right. I would way rather be the lowest form up there alive than to rule this whole realm. I don't know. That to me is like one of the most rich moments in the story. Is there's really something to be said for this statement that Achilles makes to him. That is sort of to me, the subtext of the whole story is recognizing life is about the journey, recognizing, that you can make mistakes and life can be imperfect, and yet it's still worth it. It's still a wonderful, wonderful experience just to be alive. That's powerful to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And there's it's interesting to think about because especially from a guy like Achilles who was so obsessed with glory, it's such a weird character to say that, to think something like that. And so that gives it extra weight when he's down there talking to them. Okay. So they leave hell. They have their orders. They have to sail past some monsters. There's the Sirens, the beautiful women whose songs lure men to their deaths. Odysseus ties himself to the mast. I can only think about What About Bob with Bill Murray, but he's tied to the mast. His men wear earbuds, wax earbuds, or earplugs, so that they don't go sail the ship to its ruin. They don't mess this one up, which is, I think they're now 1 for 5 with not messing this one up. I don't think anybody gets eaten by the Sirens.
I'm pretty sure this is the oldest recorded version of someone deleting the app and giving their friend the password. This is just, that moment in the ancient world. So I really respect what, Odysseus is telling us here is when all else fails, no matter what I say, don't untie me. All right. Keep me bound up. We've all been there, my friend. We've all.
Yes. Take my phone. Yes. Don't let me text. Don't let me send another angry text to Polyphemus. It's going to be bad for us. I got 5 things I want to say to him right now, and none of them are good. So then we get to Scylla and Charybdis. Scylla is the 6-headed man-eating monster, and Charybdis is a giant whirlpool that will destroy the entire ship. And they're close enough together that he's got to figure out what to do. Odysseus is like, well, I guess I'll sacrifice 6 guys to not destroy my ship. This feels like metaphor, but that's the decision he makes, and he loses 6 more guys. This is the only time in which the number of people he loses is numbered. Everything else is he loses a bunch of people, everybody dies, a lot of people die, some ships die. But for this one, it's 6 guys get eaten, and I'm like, all right, I'm willing to sacrifice these 6 guys to keep my mission going. And that happens. There's no way around it. So those guys get eaten, but once again, that's the best possible outcome, I feel like, here.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes life is not about choosing between good and bad. It's choosing between terrible and catastrophic.
That's a really good way to look at that.
Yeah, there's no good options on the table here. And again, I think it's why this story is so relatable to me because, Yeah, it would be nice if in life there's always really simple options, that, oh yeah, I choose between this, which is good, and this, which is bad. And sometimes in life, you have nothing but bad options in front of you. And this is where we get that phrase, choosing the lesser of the evils. And I mean, you can't say that without recognizing, yeah, that's easy to say if you're not one of those 6 guys, that's got to
absolutely
be the person lost. But I think that's the complexity, that we continue to face in the world is what are the trade-offs that we're willing to make in order for the greater good. And it's impossible decisions,
Mm-hmm. Right. But he makes the right choice, even though it's a difficult one. And they sail on, and they land. They put ashore next at the island of Helios, and he's got these cows. And there was something about Helios. This legion of undead told me something about Helios. I can't remember exactly what, but those cows look pretty delicious. Odysseus says, "Don't eat the cows of Helios. An army of undead told us not to eat the cattle of Helios." And they wait for him to walk away, and then they eat the cattle of Helios.
They knew what they were doing. Oh, they knew what they knew what he was doing.
Suicide. Like, why? Why would you do this? All of your dead ancestors told you not to do this. Every time you've disobeyed an order from something supernatural, people died. At some point, is it on Odysseus to enforce discipline among his crew? Right? Is this Odysseus' fault that these guys did this? More strict leadership.
There's an episode of The Office where Michael Scott is told not to mention something in a meeting, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it." And by the time they get down to the ground floor on the elevator, the door's open. He's like, "I'm afraid I'm going to say it. I'm afraid I'm going to say it. I know I'm going to say it." And I think that's exactly what's happening here. It's like, don't eat the cows. Don't eat the cows. Those cows do look good. Don't eat the cows. Don't eat the cows.
That's probably fine, right?
It's probably fine. I mean, those cows do look pretty great. What's the worst that could happen? What if we just ate one cow? Oh, that cow was really good. Maybe a second cow, maybe a third, maybe a fourth. We've all been there.
Mm-hmm. It's a chocolate cake in your fridge. You're just like, I don't know what happened to it. Sorry, little man. I don't know what happened to your birthday cake. Yeah, no, Zeus has finally had enough of this. He just smites the ship with a lightning bolt, kills everybody except Odysseus. We're just done with it. We tried. We made every effort. You just keep, it's like a dungeon master with the party that keeps doing stupid things. You're just like, all right, whatever, you're all dead now. This is your fault. This is not my fault. Don't put this on me. Odysseus washes ashore. He lands on the island of Calypso, who is a nymph who kind of puts a spell on him, and he's her lover for 7 years. This is another Odysseus as a reliable narrator moment in the story. No, I'm not also married to. No, she's like it was magic.
I was under a spell. Yeah, no choice.
I only ever hear Calypso music when I think about living on this island. Hermes eventually has her release him, and he builds a raft and sails, and eventually, finally, after 10 years of war and 10 years of sailing, returns back to New York, and he's home. So
yeah.
He arrives in Ithaca, but Pat, things are not good in Ithaca.
No. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Yes.
Okay, so Telemachus, of course, is now 20 years old. Penelope is being pursued by a whole lot of suitors who want to marry her, maybe because that's a way to get a hold of these nice, the land and the possessions and whatever. So these suitors, and I'm not entirely sure why they thought this was a good strategy, they actually basically move into Odysseus and Penelope's house. They eat his food, they kill his animals, they disrespect his son, they disrespect his dog, and they're just pressuring her to marry someone. And, so the new husband would then get the kingship. Telemachus obviously this will affect Telemachus somehow. He's almost adult age, but almost not quite. So he's in this kind of in-between state. So Penelope, throughout the Odyssey, occasionally we have scenes back in Ithaca, she tries to stall as much as possible. So she plays the filial piety card. She says, "Oh, suitors. Well, I'm so flattered by all your offers of marriage and whatnot. But my father-in-law, Laertes, Odysseus's father, he's getting on in years. And, well, he's thinking about how he wants his funeral to be. And so it is my duty to weave a beautiful, fine shroud a burial shroud for him. And I can't just do this overnight, So let me concentrate on that. Let me finish weaving this shroud, and then I'll reply to your emails." So she has a loom, and this was a standard thing for women. You don't just go to Target and buy a shroud. You have to weave it. And I don't actually know where to get a shroud around here. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure. Yes. Yeah. So weaving a shroud is going to take a long time anyway, but what she does is at night, she sneaks back over to the loom and undoes the rows that she wove that day. So she's stalling and stalling and stalling, and somehow the suitors don't really notice, maybe because women's work is kind of invisible to them anyway,
Not paying close enough attention.
So that's her stalling technique.
Yeah, and so it's just like this army of dudes being like, "When are we going to get married?" And she's like, "My father-in-law is dying. I've got more important stuff to worry about right now. I can't deal with this."
I think it makes Penelope like the smartest person actually in this whole story, because she defeats that army of entitled men using knitting. I mean, she doesn't, she creates this amazing act of resistance, not through violence or war, but through patience. She's able to, wait them out in order to, be this heroic figure to me in the end. And I think it's really an underrated sub-story, that's going on in the Odyssey, is really that story of Penelope, because, where we see Odysseus make tons and tons of stupid decisions and mistakes, we actually see Penelope as this really consistent, wise, smart, clever, character that I think does not get nearly the airtime that Penelope deserves in the story.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing that she's able to hold these guys off for 20 years, because they're like, "Well, your husband's dead. He's not coming back. It's been 20 years. Everybody else that was coming back from the Trojan War has come back. We have word the war's over. People are coming back. Yeah, Odysseus was alive the last time people saw him when he was sailing away, but bad things happen in the ocean, especially when you piss off Poseidon. He's not coming back. You should marry one of us." And yeah, she's able to stall them and not create a succession problem or something. But
she's also hedging her bets, because if she does get incontrovertible proof that Odysseus has died, well,
that's
does she have a plan B?
Great point. Yep.
But that's not what happens.
That's not what happens. Odysseus shows up at Ithaca. He hears that some weird stuff's going down at his house. He dresses up like a beggar. He goes to his place. He finds his dog, and this is like one of the saddest moments. He finds his dog. His dog has been waiting for him for 20 years. His dog is like, they're not treating his dog very well. The dog looks at Odysseus, sees him, recognizes him, and dies.
Even though Odysseus is totally in disguise.
Totally in disguise. The dogs know this stuff, right? They can smell it on you and stuff. The dogs know. Yeah. Sees him, and then dies. Like, okay. Everything's going to be all right now. And John, you mentioned Jon Wick earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that scene with the dog, I mean, it's because, Homer, or who whatever collective of people that we refer to as Homer, whoever wrote this story, they're very specific about even the dog's lying in a pile of poop, and it's this kind of really sad moment, that I there's a number of times throughout this story, that we hear of Odysseus crying, which is really interested in. I don't know how many badass episodes you have where the hero cries a lot, but this is one of them for sure. That I love because
Gilgamesh too.
Yeah, Gilgamesh too.
Oh,
right?
Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Also, Jangar in the Jangar epic.
Yeah.
Okay, so heroes cry.
I think this is an important thing, right? Because male grief doesn't get a lot of discussion, in our modern world, but we see these ancient heroes, expressing this grief and this sad, disgusting situation, with the dog at the end. I think there's still something, those of us who have really loved a pet, there's something we really get about, that dog sees through the masks and recognizes, wow, that's Odysseus. That's my partner, and I don't know, there's something really transcendently beautiful about that moment, I think, of connection between, a pet and the caretaker of the pet that is still moving to us today.
Absolutely.
I'm tearing up a little just thinking about it.
Now, Pat, you have a theory that Penelope might have also had a sense that Odysseus was back, because shortly after this scene, she's like, all right, fine, I'll choose a suitor, but you first have to pass a trial. And do you want to go through the trial?
Sure. So she sets up the trial, which is she gets out Odysseus's old bow from the attic or wherever they store it. And this is a bow that is notoriously hard. It's hard to use. It's hard to string. You have to be, pretty in shape to use it. And so the trial is going to be string the bow and then shoot an arrow, but it's not shooting at a target, it's shooting an arrow through 10 axe handles. Or so you set, I guess, you've got holes where you can put things. So it's basically threading 10 needles.
With a bow. And I wonder if, I'm just thinking about this now. I know it's really hard. It's because Odysseus is a strong guy and it's hard to but I wonder if because Odysseus is also clever, if there was a weird trick to how to knock it, to how to string it, to, like a latch or something, right? Maybe he engineered some interesting thing that made it actually a little tricky, that if you never used it before, you wouldn't know. You couldn't just be strong to string this thing. You had to know the little nuances of how to string it.
Yeah. There's a knack to it.
Yeah, trying to how your friend's the only person that can start his car. That kind of thing. You just got to bump it here, and then you got to jiggle it a little, and then pull it out, and there it goes.
Yeah. I can't explain it to you in words. I have to show it to you. And
just let me do it. Just give it to me. And so Odysseus is in rags. So all the suitors try, and he's sitting there and he's watching this. He's wearing his hobo clothes, and he's just watched the dog die, and he's sitting there angrily watching these guys try to messing around with his bow so that they can marry his wife. And he just sits there and he lets them all try, and they all fail. And then he's like, can I try? And the guys are just like, whatever, old man, sure you could try. Good luck.
Yeah.
And so he strings it up super easily, shoots the arrow straight through all the axe handles, pulls a second arrow, shoots it through the guy that called him an old man's neck, and then throws his cloak off. And it's Odysseus. And everybody's like, oh boy. There's two quotes here from the Lattimore translation, and I remember being energizing when I read them before. So I'll include them here. When they recognize it's Odysseus, he says, "You dogs, you never thought that I would any more come back from the land of Troy, and because of that you have despoiled my household and taken my serving women to sleep beside you, and sought to win my wife while I was still alive, fearing neither the immortal gods who hold the wide heaven nor any resentment sprung from men to be yours in the future. Now upon all of you the terms of destruction are fastened."
Whoa.
And everybody's like, oh crap, dude, chill out. We didn't know we thought you were dead. Dude, you are overreacting. This guy, Eurymachus, is one of the suitors. He's a really rich guy. He offers Odysseus a bunch of money to not kill him. Odysseus says, Eurymachus, if you gave me all of your father's possessions, all that you have now, all that you could add from elsewhere, even so, I would not stay my hand from the slaughter until I had taken revenge for all of the suitors' transgressions. Now the choice has been set before you, either to fight me or run, if any of you can escape death and its spirits. But I think not one man will escape their sheer destruction. And it makes me think, you talk John Wick, it makes me think of a cartoon I saw one time, and it was like John Wick, and he's sitting there, he's thinking, he's like, well, I've killed all these people, like, but I've got to think about what really matters. And then like a little thought bubble comes to his dog, and the dog says, kill them all, John. And so that's what's going to happen here. Now, is Odysseus overreacting? Or do all of these men deserve to die? I would urge people to reread that section with the dog before making a decision. However, I can understand both sides of the argument.
Right. So good.
Yeah, so the suitors arm themselves. They try to kill Odysseus with his own weapons. He's fighting them off, but there's a lot of them. Things are looking kind of bleak. Then his son Telemachus shows up. He arrives with an armful of spears. Telemachus and Odysseus fight side by side. They destroy all the suitors. A little long-lost father-son bonding time, murdering your enemies. And when we live that, everybody lives happily ever after. John, this is a weird way to end the story.
It is. You know, the thing is, myth is not about having a satisfying ending. You know, myths don't end like fairy tales. They often end with a sort of this life goes on, you know, type feeling, you know, that it's not about trying to get the story wrapped up in a satisfying or compelling way. It's trying to get at something deeper. And to me, that's why the Odyssey still matters, is it's not a neat, tidy, wrapped up easily story. It's because everybody still kind of becomes their own Odysseus, and there's a moment when our own maps stop working, and when home feels really far away, and we've made mistakes that we can't undo, and our ego makes life harder, and we're tempted to stay with Circe, and the Sirens sing, and you know, it's not about defeating the monsters. It's about refusing to stop coming home, and that's why I believe nearly 3,000 years later that we keep telling this story. We're just trying to find our way back to ourselves, and to me, that's what I take, from this is, while Achilles, taught us how to die gloriously, Odysseus teaches us how to live imperfectly and still somehow make it back home.
Yeah, I like the way you say that. Teaches us how to live imperfectly. Yeah.
So, Pat, we've got a house full of dead bodies, but it's not the end of the story entirely.
No. So in a certain sense, Odysseus has reasserted his identity. He's reasserted his authority rather definitively. But he and Telemachus had the Homeric Greek equivalent of going out back and shooting some hoops together or something.
Nice shot, son. I can see you've been working. I've seen you been practicing while I was gone.
Yeah. Now, but what about Penelope? So Penelope has quite wisely been keeping to herself in another part of the palace, along with Eurycleia, who is an elderly servant who was actually Odysseus's nurse back when he was a kid. Okay.
I love this because it implies that she set up because she goes and sets the axe handles up, and the suitors are all watching her drive these axe handles into the ground. And they're like, "What is this?" She doesn't tell them about it. She sets the axe handles up first, then brings the bow down. But this also implies that she brought the bow down, set the axe handles up, and then got out there. She's like, whatever, just tell me if anybody does it. Let me know if you guys said anybody's successful. I'm out of here.
Eurycleia, I guess, has been kind of keeping an eye on the situation or keeping an ear to the wall or something. So Eurycleia says, Penelope, I think the contest is done. And by the way, do you know who won it? And I know this because he has a scar on his leg that I recognize. It's Odysseus. It's actual Odysseus. And Penelope says, really? We'll see about that. And so Penelope, does she get excited and rush into Odysseus's arms? No. She's been putting up with all sorts of stuff for 20 years. She's had time to think about this. She's had time to practice, John, as you said, patience.
Yes.
She does not. She emerges into the Megaron, the Great Hall, but she does not. I think that's where this. Anyway, she walks into the room where Odysseus is. Telemachus is there too, and she says, "Okay." And Telemachus says, "Mom, Dad is back. Dad, what? This is Dad. This is Dad." And Penelope's like, "Hmm." And Odysseus says to Telemachus, "No, it's cool. It's cool. Let your mom do things her way." So Odysseus finds a set of clean clothing, changes into it, waits for Penelope to approach him. And now he really does, he's not looking like a beggar. He's not covered in blood anymore. He's actually looking like he could plausibly be a king of Ithaca. And Penelope says, "Welcome back, Odysseus. You look just the way you did when you sailed away from Ithaca all those long years ago. Euryclea here is happy to see you. Oh, actually, you must be tired. Euryclea, could you get a bed ready for Odysseus here? Let's see, I know. You know that bed in the master bedroom? Why don't you bring it out into this room and put on the nice guest sheets and everything, and that he can sleep there, take a nap there." Odysseus flips. "Wait, what? How dare you? The bed from the master bedroom? No. I carved that bed myself out of the live oak tree. One of the bedposts is actually a tree growing from the ground. It's literally rooted into the earth. Did someone chop it away from the tree? What? What's been going on?" And then Penelope falls into Odysseus's arms. He passed the test. This really is her Odysseus. Yeah.
Somebody move my chair.
Yeah. And Homer describes their reunion as being a shipwrecked sailor finally being relieved to find land.
It's an appropriate metaphor.
And Athena makes the night last longer so they can have more time enjoying their reunion.
Hey-o.
Now, I think that's kind of where we're going to tie this off. John, there's an interesting theory. There's Pat came across some stories of people. You said there was an author that relates the story of the Odyssey to the story of dealing with PTSD after war.
The psychiatrist Jonathan Shea, he wrote a book called Odysseus in America, and he uses the story of the Odyssey as like a therapeutic aid to help veterans process their own complicated psychological states and emotions, trying to deal with all of their stuff from combat and reintegrating into society.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. That is the story of the Odyssey. I think we've kind of covered everything that we were going to talk about. John, is there anything else that we missed?
I think at the end of the day, it's not something we missed, but just to reiterate, I love that this is a really simple story at its core about someone just trying to get back home. I've been there so many times, found myself in airports or on road trips, and just that longing to get back home. I think it's just as universal as it's ever been. And I think that there's still a lot that we can learn from this. And it's a story that keeps speaking to us, which is what great art does.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, John, where can people find you if they're looking for more?
Absolutely.
Looking for the foundation.
Absolutely. Well, come and check us out at the Joseph Campbell Foundation. We are at jcf.org, and you can follow all our social medias there. And my personal website is tellingabetterstory.com, and you can find all my social media handles there.
All right. Dr. Jon Bucher, who was almost assisted on the Odyssey, helping us tell our story here today. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Pat, as well, for being here and helping us get through these stories. This was a really fun time.
Pat, Ben, so good to be with both of you. This was a treat. I loved it.
All right. Well, we do this every week. If you guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please do follow us. We're at Badass of the Week, and you can find us on all the social media stuff and anywhere you can podcast. And until then, next week, we'll see you then.
And stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions. Executive producers are Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, Andrew Jacobs, Hiram Garcia, Brian Gewirtz, Frankie Chaparino, and of course, me, Ben Thompson. Writing is by me and my semi-regular but always awesome co-host, Dr. Patricia Larish. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Our mixing, music, and sound design is done by the incomparable Jude Brewer. Production support by Jean McHale-Waite. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, tell your friends, and tell your enemies. And please leave us a review. If you want to support Badass of the Week, please check out our Patreon page. We'll be back next week with another one.